To understand anxiety and depression in our society is to understand the negative developments that are formulated within our body and brain that create anxiety and depression. Our life is driven by an energy. This energy is deep within our cellular structure and connected with the universe. It is part of our consciousness. This energy is also connected with nature. We live our lives from information. This information is circulating within our energy. It is then communicated to our brain. If we process positive information through our energy, it is communicated with our intelligent brain, the upper region. If we process negative information through our energy, it is communicated with our primitive and reactive emotional brain, the lower region. This in turn sets off a negative miscalculation and we lose our sense of mental stability. Under these conditions, the upper portion of our brain is effectively shut down. Primitive, reactive, emotional chaos takes over lives. If continued, this is registered as a reality for one's life. In time, it is created as a program within ourselves. Coherent thinking is overtaken by emotional and reactive chaos. And this process results in anxiety and depression taking over lives. We are unable to facilitate autonomy over our life unless we develop a knowledge of understanding and depth about our life and why we are the way we are. It is of profound importance that we see ourselves as a human operating within our cellular structure of energy. Important to understand we are connected within, which is outside our materialistic society. This cellular structure of energy interacts with our body and brain. It is only then we can gain the ability to view oneself at a distance, calmly, and enter this insight as a reality within our depths of consciousness. It is then we begin to understand the life we see is only a construct of a false reality based on economic materialism. It has no bearing on ourselves as an energy that seeks deep inner contentment. We must stop, think, and enter a state of quiet awareness to reach this state, rather than externalizing with incessant talk. This way one can view life with its contrasting aspects, the life society participates in, and understand its influences on our psyche. And the deception that emerges should influence a reality that is more beneficial to you. When we highlight both, we can see a stable, natural reality, whereas in contrast, we see a society that is predominantly visually superficial. When we add the vast choices of entertainment together with superficial materialism, we are able to see a predominantly facade of superficiality leading towards a pseudo-reality, which is based solely on seeking illusionary pleasure, leading to a delusionary life of misconceived expectations, evolving into personal superficial captivity, a life that slowly encompasses our psyche into believing the facade is plausible, where in fact it is soul-destroying. The psyche responds to this reality and enters towards a disarray of malfunctions that develop into mental health abnormalities, causing a morphing into the ideological pleasure of escapism, a pseudo-reality, and developing the psyche towards personal insecurity, leading towards anxiety of the soul, a soul that is malformed towards fragmented capabilities. But why? Why does this reality not create the life we search for? Why does one continually search for more pleasure, which gives no sustainable relief? Understanding this will ultimately provide the knowledge for personal change towards a life with more contentment. Anxiety and depression is caused by the outside world and your inability to regulate it due to lack of knowledge. The following additional knowledge in this video will initiate an understanding to gain autonomy over your life and provide a sense of belonging to something more profound. Maturing into the ownership of yourself, an ability to make personal choices and develop a self that is in harmony with a more content life, rather than the visual choices creating a world that disturbs and controls. It will lead you with a guidance towards a sense of personal fulfillment and contentment, an opportunity to understand self more and obtain an inner peace. You gain control over your life rather than the externalities of society controlling you. Unfortunately for many, participating in this external life creates the feeling of anxiety and depression. The feeling that captivates the soul and destroys the ability to lead a life of fulfillment. Without knowledge and regulation, the more one suffers within the confines of an uncontrollable self, resulting in debilitating psychic functions. We all possess the ability to regulate, as we possess a biochemical, a human organism that communicatively links between brain, mind and body. This is called psychosomatics. When utilised effectively, we can construct a building block of stable molecules in our body. This establishes and strengthens a stable format to flourish a body coherency and develops a coherent thinking brain. Anxiety causes the formation of dysfunctional and chaotic molecules and results in the psychosomatic causes of many illnesses in the body, in conjunction with brain malfunctioning. The cause is mainly formulated within the primitive brain, the lower portion. The intelligent brain becomes obsolete, while the primitive brain locks into a severity state of malfunctioning molecules throughout the body. They possess the body with intensity, with a debilitating anxiety, and in many cases an emotional addiction, resulting in a chaotic reaction of misfiring molecules that have no coherent destiny for a better life. If we create the ability within us to process the malfunction coherently, we can change the brain's impairment and begin to repair the bodily functions associated with this disability through the process of mind-body communication, psychosomatics. We enter a calmness to think coherently With these understandings, we begin to create autonomy over our life and understand our life in a different perspective. This knowledge encourages personal change and allows fulfillment to enter your life, away from anxiety and depression. It takes focus and intent. You have this ability. The severest state of developed anxiety is called anxiety psychosis. This is a world separate to stable functioning and a world of mental chaos, without any ability to form a pattern of stability. It is a severe case of mental abnormality that causes the person to reach a state where contact is lost with external reality. The aim of life is to understand the debilitating needs of our external realities, which causes a pseudo-reality within self. This impacts a person's mental health stability. It is necessary to stop and think and question this reality and view the realities that cause an unregulated addiction to possessions and pleasure, resulting in an unstable psyche that never reaches contentment. We all possess the ability to develop stable molecules within our body that result in a stable, more peaceful life. The impetus is to stop and think and direct a calmness over the mind. This develops a calmness over the body, resulting in the body distributing stable molecules. The result is a stable and more content life. And all this is a result of understanding we have just three basic functions of self that influence our structure of self and how we respond to the outside world. The first is the upper region of the brain. The second is the lower region of our brain. And the third is our body. By stopping and thinking calmly, we can deactivate our emotional primitive brain and create stable molecules that create a more balanced self. It is not possible to view this video as solely entertainment. It is meant to be a serious critique for learning about self. A learning guide to improve lives. Lives that need to improve, making one's life more fulfilling. Intelligence is a function that requires focus and intent. Using focus and intent to achieve intelligent results. This is self-intelligence. To achieve this, we bypass our primitive and emotive pleasure brain and create ourselves productively. We gain more insight within self and develop coherent intellect. This is a component of questioning oneself. To question why, and ask the question, what if I change? What if I make my life more fulfilling? It is during these moments we begin to change, as we begin to understand self and the knowledgeable reason for change and our existence. We establish a belief in ourselves to change, a change towards the advancement of self. With knowledge, we open doors to facilitate change. In turn, we change, and we develop a better life for ourselves. It may be easier for some to disappear into their own world again and forget this video. to endlessly follow a continuous pattern of irresponsible and thoughtless behaviour with no change towards insight. But remember, it takes focus and intent to change, and this is related to intelligence. Bypassing your emotional brain is imperative if you want a better life. A life with more contentment and peace. And with this better life, you move away from confusion that creates anxiety and depression. This video provides that information to begin the creation of your new self and your new life. You will never understand the nature of your sublime liberty unless you possess the desire to understand the nature of its function, and in turn understand the function of one's soul and body, how they communicate and their connection with nature. With this knowledge, you are able to bypass the futility of superficial externalities for pleasure and desire. To begin understanding is to focus on one's aim to participate in this understanding. We only truly understand our nature if we dismiss the world we see and enter our sublime symbiosis of self, a movement towards your creation of self, a truly wondrous feeling of belonging to something more profound in life and separate to society's superficialities. Create a life of interest with creative fulfillment. Try different topics in your life, different interests, to find your true sense of self, to find the one that relates to your intellectual creativity and your inner self of achieving. This is life. We were meant to create a life with fulfilling intellect and progress as individuals. In turn, this progresses humanity in a more productive way, and not exist in a life of mundane mediocrity. I hope you have gained some understanding of yourself from my presentation and developed your own self-energy for a momentum towards change, leading to a life with more personal peace and contentment. Do something different. Experience diversity in your life. The brain and body are searching for meaning, and changes create more meaning. Dream, and then create your change. Gain the knowledge about life, and not through the externalities of what society offers. Use focus and intent to create your goals. Be pragmatic and steady. Don't waver. Your goal is you towards your authentic self with nature. In time you will find the contentment you seek. It will also benefit others. You were born to create personal insight and continue this personal creativity. To grow within yourself with continued knowledge. To have purpose and fulfillment. And further develop our species towards the future. Your life will take on a new meaning. Developing a new light for change. This knowledge will also impact a calming stability to other lives, without any effort, without force, just by being part of the knowledge of self, just by being calmly different, your new self, the life you will possess from its most intelligent source, just like I did.